Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. Yes, indeed. This is the Flagstick Podcast brought to you by Ping Golf Canada. If you're looking to improve your game, then you need to check out the entire family of G425 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and irons at ca.ping.com. I am your host, Jeff Potter, publisher, founder, guy with flagstick.com.
Chief cook and bottle washer.
Chief cook and bottle washer. And then with me, as always, on my right-hand side, my left-hand side, right beside me is my good friend and Scott McLeod.
How are
there
you?
He is. Tip of the hat to you. I don't have one today. I got the crusty gel hair because I had to go to my
a
kids' assembly.
So bad.
What's that?
Tell. I need a haircut so bad. You cannot tell.
You need a haircut? Are you looking at the mop on my melon right now? Oh, yeah, that is you got it covered up well, I'll tell you that.
I do. I know how to disguise these things.
I had to go to my kids' assembly at school today for they both made their school honor roll and got some awards. So I had to go and dress up somewhat. So I didn't
had to go and see what that looked like for
yeah. I haven't been in one. I haven't been in a school in a long time for any kind of awards or assemblies or anything like that. And it was as they always are.
Yeah, they haven't changed too much. I've been in a bunch of late for school sports, and while it's different, it's kind of nice for sure.
I hear you. Well, what's going on, Scott? Like, it's been
fall.
I know it's kind of weird though. It's kind of that fall, cold in the morning, cold at night. But we've gotten some really decent, warm, sunny day. Although it's coming down sideways outside right now as we're recording this, but it's going to be a wet one. I don't think there'll be a whole lot of golf going on today, and the leaves are getting wet, which is going to make it impossible to clean them.
Yeah, and I think it's that transition time. I mean, I'm barely watching much golf on TV. I watched a little bit, like literally 5 minutes of the Zozo Championship from Japan last night. But it's kind of getting that transition time where we're starting to wrap up outdoors, start to think about indoors, which obviously we're going to get to and talk about today. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's just a weird time of year because tournaments are wrapping up. We still got a few different things that are going on, so the news sort of cycle sort of slows down a little bit as far as tournaments and tournament play, which obviously changed my attention for sure. But obviously looking at deeper stories, equipment stuff, a lot of things coming out right now. We're getting first looks at lots of products, first tests, some things we can talk about, some things we can't.
The embargo. Gotta love the embargo.
Yeah. And, getting down to, I think, the last few rounds of the year, I think I'm counting it down. I think I have 3 legitimate games left. We're going to play next week.
Yes.
It's
I was going to ask you about that because I didn't. Are we golfing? So we are golfing.
We are scheduled to play golf.
Okay.
Although the weather right now looks horrendous. It looks like a high of 7 with rain.
I'm not playing golf in the rain, man. I'm not playing golf in the rain.
So we'll talk. We'll talk. I'll give you the details off air. We don't need to get into that.
No.
Yes, we are scheduled to play some golf.
All right. Well, that's
We'll see how that works.
That should be good. Well, that'll be my last official round of the year then if we play that I'm not playing before then. So who knows what that's going to look like. It'll be a whole lot of heap of trouble. I think ugly.
I think a lot of people, especially in Canada and the northeastern US, are kind of in that same boat right now. They're counting down the rounds, and you sort of push yourself through it. That's the other thing. You get that the season is getting short, and you're like, man, I got to get these rounds in. But the other side of it, you're tired or not as excited to go play or whatever. But you just have to remember, pretty soon we'll be complaining about the snow, and we'll regret not playing those rounds.
We complain about cleaning it, not having to be out in it.
Right. True. Good point.
It's the only thing I don't like about snow is having to clean it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. That said, great show lined up this week. We, as you kind of alluded to, we're going to talk a little bit about off-season golf, some of the things associated with off-season golf, training, indoor golf simulators, lessons, that kind of thing. We're going to take a look at some shoes perfect for this time of year in Product Watch this week.
Yep.
And of course, Kevin and Jake Haime are going to be coming at us in the back nine to talk about to help you find your proper balance and weight flow with a simple drill. All these little simple drills and stuff. I mean, they all add up. So that's why we bring them every week. Every episode of the podcast, we bring these little tips so you can kind of archive them, go back to them, work at them. Hopefully, they help you fix something in your golf game that maybe you didn't think you could fix. But we can't get there yet. We have to get to the front nine, and the front nine, of course, is presented by Metcalf Golf Club and Natural Setting, a pleasant challenge. Looking for fun golf at a great rate, save 15% when you prepay. Visit metcalfgolf.com to book. Also check out their website for any of their fall specials, membership specials and stuff that are coming up. We're getting into that time of the year where those things start to appear. Can't list them all in a quick little blurb, but hit metcalfgolf.com and check it out. Okay, front nine, Scott. I guess let's start it off by talking about the Ottawa PGA, the PGA of Ottawa Zone Awards. These happen every year. They are awarded at the annual buying show, BPG buying show. This year at the Marshes, I think pretty much always out at the Marshes lately. But the award starts off with basically a large nomination process. And I happen to be on the selection committee, I guess you'll call it, not the nomination committee, but the selection committee for the awards. So once the nominations are all in, there's a list that's sent out to everybody that is on the selection committee, and we vote. We sort of rank them, and then from that rankings, a top three in each category is created. And then once the top three is created, then we revote on the top three, and we order them, 1 to 3, and then my job is done, as is everybody else on the selection committee's job done. And those selections were made, and the winners were announced, and we have them actually up on flagstick.com last night because everything was announced and awarded last night. And our good buddy, old pal, Joe McLean, Flagstick Joe, was on site doing pictures and representing.
He was,
but we got some winners. So let's give up the winners so that we get that out there to everybody.
Yeah, so we'll start with Teacher of the Year, and that was a repeat. Our good buddy Derek McDonald picked up the repeat win there, so it's second year in a row, and he's a previous winner of the Junior Leader of the Year, so he's out of the Royal Ottawa. The Kevin Haime Junior Leader of the Year this year was Kristen McLaren out of the Cataraqui Golf and Country Club.
Very nice.
Manufacturers Rep of the Year, Andre Boris, who we just I saw recently at the Ping Challenge Cup. So he's away in Scotland, so unfortunately he was not there to attend. Retail of the Year went to Carol Ann Baxter down at Archie's in Cornwall. Executive Pro Chris Barber picked it up for the second year in a row down at the Landings Golf and Teaching Center down in Kingston. And the Harold Blackman Apprentice Professional of the Year. Now here's an interesting thing. There was a big sweep by the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club. They won 3 awards, or they had 3 members win awards. The Harold Blackman Apprentice Professional of the Year went to Ben Lockhart, who is at the Ottawa Hunt Club, who was nominated last year and got the win this year. Class A Professional of the Year went to Tara McEnroy, who was at the Ottawa Hunt as well. And then the Bud Malloy Club Professional of the Year went to Mark Peterson. So those were the general awards. And then the big other award given out last night was a Lifetime Achievement Award, which went to Daryl Buchanan.
Nice, Bucky.
A lot of people know him from his affiliation with the Meadows Golf and Country Club in Ottawa for the last
since day one. Since day one.
Day one meant, we're talking helping build the place.
Yeah, we're talking literally. No golf course day one. We're talking. I mean, I had numerous meetings with him and Michelle Deschamplain and Michelle's father at the time when they were going through the whole process. Designed the logo for the Meadows way back then. Scorecards, and that course wasn't even built when we were going through that, and Bucky was there.
Yeah. So, good for him. He's retiring there from there after 27 years. 38 years with the PGA of Canada and
Gosh.
42 years in the golf business. Started all the way at Manderley back in the day and worked his way through the industry, worked at some great clubs. Yeah, so a big deal for him. And, he was very emotional in his speech. And, we have parts of some of the quotes from him up at the website. We also have a copy of his speech as well, which we may post there as well. But congratulations to all the winners, and especially to Bucky as well for that Lifetime Achievement Award. It's not an award that's given every year by the Zone,
No.
but certainly it's one that's important to recognize the members that have contributed for a long time to the Zone. And as he's just a staple in the community as far
Yeah.
as
Oh,
the
no
golf
question.
community. So great to see, and very happy for him for sure.
We got to get Bucky on the show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
He would be awesome.
He
An
would
awesome
be.
interview on this show. It would be great.
It could be funny, that's for sure. Yeah.
Quite funny. Cool. All right. So Golf Ontario had the Super Camp.
Yeah, it's going on right now.
Tell us a little bit, because this is a kind of a unique little cool thing that they do.
Yeah, it's the third year that it's happened. Basically, what they do is Golf Ontario conducts a tour championship, which is basically, there's all sorts of small junior tours around the province, and they're all part of the Ontario Junior Golf Pathway, and golfers earn points from there, and they qualify for the tour championship. But while the week of the tour championship is going on, which is a 54-hole event, they also have what they call a super camp, which is more of an identification camp to find out, who are the kids that are performing quite well, who are the ones that basically have the potential to maybe move on to Golf Ontario team programs, and eventually, who knows, be part of the Golf Canada programs as well. So they go through 2 days of testing protocols, they go through rules seminars, mental skills, they game management, all sorts of different things as part of this camp. Just get the same type of assessment they would in a Team Canada camp. Gives them sort of that experience, sort of makes them feel a little bit more big league for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And then obviously, so they're conducting it this year. It's down in at the Ambassador Golf Club down in Windsor, and we've had a number of players from Eastern Ontario that have managed to go down there and be part of that. They've qualified to be part of the camp and to be part of the Tour Championship.
Cool. It's awesome.
I can drop a few names.
Yeah, let's drop some names. Let's get the names out there.
Because it's good for these kids to get recognition. I mean, some of these kids are well known for maybe their play at a provincial level already, but some of the other ones are up and comers and have performed well with the LPGA or on the Play Junior Golf Tour. Some of the players from Eastern Ontario that qualified were Avery Nordman, Spencer Cranley, Sophie Folds, Chase Jerome, Bodie Stephen, Carly Mayer, Max Corcoran, Ben Sheridan, Graydon Lachlan, and Isaiah Ibbett. So a good representation there from Eastern Ontario. And hopefully they have they had a successful camp so far. And the Tour Championship will wrap up at the end of the week, and we'll see who wins it on both sides. Cool. Yeah.
World Junior Girls Championship.
Mm-hmm.
What do we know about that?
Yeah, it's back. It's been they've had a couple of years off with that event, which originally was a Golf Ontario initiative, and now and Golf Canada is involved as well. And that's being played at the Angus Glen Golf Club in Markham this week. And you know what? It's great because Canada gets 2 teams in this, and success has varied over the years. I mean, some years they've done well, some years they haven't. You got to remember, this event has been held 3 times in Ottawa as well, twice at the Marshes and once at Camelot. Some of the great players that have gone on to success of the LPGA Tour have played in this event. And this year already, the Team Canada 1 and Team Canada 2 are contending. So nice. Again, by the end of this podcast, at the end of the week, we'll be able to give you the results next week of how they've done. But off to a fast start at Angus Glen. 6 great representatives for Canada there. 5 of the 6 are from British Columbia. Angela Aurora from BC was tied for the lead after the first round at 68. But yeah, great play there already. And nice to see that event return. As I said, 18 teams, 17 different countries represented, and certainly a showcase for some players that have gone on to LPGA success and LET success.
For every great story, happy story that we talk about on this podcast, a lot of warm fuzzies that go on this show. We tend not to get too much into the negative. We tend not to get too much into the sad. However, we do have a sort of a sad announcement to make. It's we've had this up on flagstick.com for a while now, but I think it's fitting that we sort of throw it out there on this podcast as well. Margaret Masters passed away.
Margaret Masters, I don't think a lot of people are as familiar with her as they should be. She didn't spend a lot of time in Canada. She's originally from Australia, but she was inducted in the Ottawa Valley Golf Hall of Fame last year. And for people, definitely Google her or have her look on her website. We have her story that's up there. She was actually a member of the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club. Won the 64 Canadian Women's Amateur, was the LPGA Rookie of the Year in 1965, and then also had a win on the LPGA Tour. And most people in Canada have no idea who she was or her success, and the fact that there was an LPGA player affiliated with the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club prior to Brooke Henderson. So unfortunately she passed away at her home in Arizona. Had suffered a stroke, I believe, recently, and then just unfortunately passed away. But thankfully, Joe brought that story to light a little bit more in the last little while, and as I said, we've got news, her story up on the website if you want to go back and find out more about her.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's people like Margaret that we talk so much about those that are very in the forefront, in popularity, as especially when it comes to on the women's golf side. We don't know her story as well. We're not aware of what she's accomplished because there's so much focus on some of the other, rightfully so, on some of the other women that have paved the way. But then there's somebody like Margaret that paved the way as well that we don't talk about as much. And very sad. Thoughts and prayers go out to her family at this time. But the full story is up on flagstick.com for anyone who wants to read it. And definitely Google her name. You'll find out a little bit more.
I mean, we I think historically there's not enough emphasis on those things. I think these stories take a lot of work to develop and find out and to do research, and generally the narrative a lot of days in media these days is quick and what happened 10 seconds ago, and people are not really trained or don't have the time or not given the time as journalists to go and investigate stories because maybe the resources are not available for them. But they're important stories. They shape what happens these days, and it's her legacy that leads the way for players like Brooke Henderson, who came back last week to to the now an 12-time LPGA winner, but came back to near her home in Smith Falls last week, and went back to her own elementary school for a special event.
Nice to go back to your elementary school when you're Brooke Henderson.
For sure. And I mean,
not so sure I'm rushing back to mine anytime soon.
No. Yeah, but I mean, the cool part for her is that one of her schoolmates at Chimo Elementary School was also made it to the Olympics last year. So it's not like they're short on great athletes there at Chimo, but obviously she's an exceptional athlete. And basically she went back and did a clinic for about 50 kids there. It was supported by one of her sponsors, Skechers. They had some swag and stuff for the kids. They had a chance to, kind of go up and putt with Brooke and so forth. And she, obviously the kids, probably the teachers were probably more delighted than the kids. I mean, the kids would know who she is, but I'm sure the teachers know more. And then the nice part as well, the school announced that they were going to be naming their gymnasium after her, which, Brooke was a great athlete, involved in lots of different sports, and certainly was honored by this gesture by her former school that she loved so much.
That is very cool. Some other notes before we get out and head to break. Brooke is also on the topic of Brooke Henderson. She's competing in the Aramco series in New York
Yeah, that's a
this week.
ladies European Tour event, actually. So the LPGA is off, so they have a special event with 78 players in New York. So that's kind of weird. It's a ladies European Tour event, but it's happening in New York. So
They get world ranking points for that. No.
Wow, that could be a whole other episode.
Sorry.
Yes, they do.
Sorry.
Yes, they do. There's Rolex points for that
one. The speaking of limited field events, the Zozo Championship.
Yeah,
the Zozo Championships taking place in Japan right now, and both Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes are playing. And it's an honor to be in that field as well. It is a limited field event, but it's an honor to actually be invited to participate in that tournament.
And I found out subsequently Adam Svensson also got in and was playing. But they all didn't get off to a great start. But again, fun event to watch in Japan, and the players are loving it too. Last time when they played there, they had a little bit more restrictions. So now they're able to travel around and do a few more things, see the country and stuff like that. And Mac's been playing very well of late. Obviously got a win a couple of weeks ago, so good to see those guys in that field.
All right, before we head out, we've talked about this, and as you know, this is a good lead into what we're going to talk about in the back nine with off season. Unfortunately, discussions of off season golf and talking about indoor golf and simulators and stuff does tend to kind of lead towards a conversation about courses starting to close.
Yeah,
and we do have some courses that have started to announce some of those closing dates. And you got a few of those closing dates, do you?
Well, actually, I don't have a lot of those closing dates. So, but yeah, I've seen a few postings online, just a couple courses indicating that kind of Halloween will kind of be their last date. Most of them are very flexible. Yeah, I know. Most of them are very flexible. They're basically just saying, you know what, some of them will say let's see how the weather goes. Others are restricted as well based on staffing.
Which has been a big issue all year long to begin with, let alone this time of year.
Yeah, definitely. So, and others as well have projects that are underway. So, look for that as well. Some of the golf courses might be shut down a little bit early just because they're, getting to work on new tee boxes or irrigation or drainage, just trying to get it in the sort of the gap between players getting done on the golf course and maybe the snow hitting as well. But I think people should just pay attention to your local course. I'm sure your favorite golf course, you are already probably following them on social or whatever, and they'll probably indicate kind of when they're closing. But I would say we're going to see a great number in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, and there's so much that they have to do to put the courses to bed for the year. I mean, yes, there are some golf courses that do a lot less than others to put the courses to bed, and whether that's from a staffing, a budgetary reasons, or even the type of grass that they have on their greens and tee decks and whatnot. But there is a fair bit of work involved, and they have to stick to a relative timeline for making that happen.
Yeah, you're seeing the last bit of aerations taking place, blowing out irrigation systems, all sorts of different things. So it does take time. So people just have to, be understanding and be understanding the fact that, they don't just...
It's October.
They don't just, lock the door and close it. There's a lot more work to be done than that if you want your golf course to be looking good in the springtime. So, don't give golf courses trouble if all of a sudden they announce that they're closing for the year.
Good Lord. Okay. We got to get out. We got to take a quick break, pay some bills. But when we come back, we're going to head out to the lesson tee, see what Kevin and Jake have, little simple drill, little tip that they have for us. We're going to talk about some golf shoes, and we're going to talk off-season golf. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results. Your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast. with Jeff and Scott, or Scott and Jeff, however you want to put it. Yeah, we got to head out to the lesson tee and talk with Kevin and Jake Haime. And they're going to talk to us about flow. I'm going to call it flow.
Flow. The flow.
Talk about flow. Weight flow.
And we're not talking about their hair.
No, because definitely not.
Don't
Talking about weight flow, and they got a little simple little drill.
Yeah.
So let's take a hit out to. Well, you know what? First of all, let me just say the lesson tee is brought to you as always by the Kevin Haime Golf School. It's always the right time to play better. Whether you need private lessons, a better short game, some putting help, or even custom club fitting, visit kevinhaime.com. And remember that better golf is a lot more fun. All right, now let's head to the lesson tee with Kevin and Jake.
Let's do it.
Okay, golfers, another quick tip here. We've got Jake in sock feet. Jake actually hits balls in sock feet, works on motion a little bit. What are you looking for there, Jake?
I do this all the time because I'm working on the footwork in my golf swing and my body motion, making sure my weight flows properly in my golf swing.
Yeah, your body's your engine, your arms are your levers, your wrists are your hinges. If the engine works properly, the weight flows from back foot to front foot, you're going to be a better player. Tell me what you're looking for there.
So when I turn my body back, I want the weight to flow to the inside of my trail leg, more specifically into the heel of my trail leg. And then as I shift my weight forward to my target, it'll go into my front foot, and then I rotate through the golf ball to a finish, and the weight will flow to the heel of my lead foot.
I love that. It's fascinating. So many people, I'll stop them and say, where's your weight right now? And they can't answer. Kick those shoes off, hit some balls in socks, and you'll probably be a better golfer.
All right. Well, sometimes when I read the headlines for these tips and don't watch them intently ahead of time, they catch me a little off guard as to, okay, well, what the heck is this actually going to be about?
Yeah.
All right. Now, in this case, this is one I'm being transparent here. This is one that I did not watch before we did the podcast, and so I had no idea what we were talking about. We were getting into flow, but you did.
I did.
And so you can talk about, now that I've seen it now, I totally understand. I totally get it. But
yeah, totally supported. I mean, the fact that, I've hit lots of golf balls with no shoes on. I think it's a great way for students to kind of work and get a feel for the ground, feel the pressure movement in their feet and how it goes. And obviously, they're explaining it there of just the process of, take your shoes off and go through the process and feel your pressure where you feel it and work your way through in the golf swing. You know what? The body is obviously supported by, our feet and the ground, and the movement of that pressure movement is super, super important in the golf swing. So being more aware of it is super important. And, as they point out in their tip, take those shoes off and you'd be surprised just on a practice session of what you feel and how you feel it happening during the golf swing. And just leads to a lot more, insight for yourself to be more aware of how things are moving and happening. So thanks to Kevin and Jake for that one.
yes, indeed. And we look forward to what they come up with for the next podcast.
You got it.
All right, Scott, you know what? It's time to jump into the back nine presented by Golf Sim Gurus. Work on your game all year round in the privacy of your own home. Custom golf simulators built specific to your needs to fit your budget. Visit golfsimgurus.ca to learn more. And once again, I will stress that if this is something you want to do, you might want to get at it and make the call or contact Andy at Golf Sim Gurus and get it done, because otherwise you're going to be looking at next fall.
Yeah.
So get to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
right,
you don't want to be standing there in the middle of the winter going, man, I'd love a simulator. And they tell you, well, sure, we can put one in next July.
Yeah,
it's like a pool. It's like a pool. It's like, when do you get it done when you don't need it ahead of when you want it.
Exactly. You should be booking your pool now too.
Right, exactly.
Just for the sake of argument, even though it's got nothing to do with this golf show, you might want to be booking that new pool installation now if you want it by July next year. So
exactly.
Anyway, I digress.
All right.
Talking about pools on a golf show. All right. So along that line, how fitting the sponsor this week. Off-season golf. Lots of stuff to talk about with respect to off-season golf, because it encompasses more than just going and playing, a couple rounds of golf with your buddies in the league at this, whatever the closest indoor simulator place is. This has been going on for forever, as far as I know. As far
100
as I'm
plus
concerned.
years.
You
There's
used
been
to
indoor.
teach. You used to teach lessons in the hitting net back at Golfer's Choice in Kingston when you and I first met. You were teaching
30 years
lessons.
ago.
People were booking time to come and hit balls. We had that little swing mate thing that we used, and the massive putting green that we had on the other side where the hitting nets were. So this has been going on for a long time. It's not new, but a lot has changed over the years with respect to off-season golf. So let's first of all, let's talk about training. And we're not just talking about hitting balls.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, as you said, historically, if you look back, there was indoor training golf studios going back 115 years. We look back, people obviously were, in environments where they couldn't hit golf balls outside, 12 months a year. So they looked for alternatives to work and train. And that has progressed a lot over the years. And, when I guess people define their indoor golf or off-season golf, they have to really start with, what do they want to get out of it? Some people want entertainment, as you mentioned. They just want to go and have a couple of rounds every now and then, maybe play in a league or whatever. Some people want to basically hit balls all winter. Some people want to work on certain aspects of their game. Some people want to work one-on-one with a coach. And, I guess that's where we sort of are jumping off point from a training, especially as I look at, a lot of golf coaches and stuff right now starting to do intakes with students. We have to decide first off, where's the student at right now? So even for yourself, if you wanted to work on something during the wintertime, and maybe you already have something in mind, or you're going to work with a coach, and a coach is going to define, hey, you should work on this based on whatever you're doing. We want to start with an assessment of some kind. And I mean, an assessment is basically going to give you, and we've got a little piece up on flagstick.com about assessments on there. But if you go up and look at it, the whole idea is to start with something quantifiable, so we actually know where we're at. I mean, there's no sense in saying, hey, I want to run a 10-5 100 meters by the springtime, but you don't know where you're at right now. I mean, you could already be running a 9-5 or whatever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You got to find out where you're at first, and it's no different than any other sport or activity. And there are lots of ways to do that. And there's lots of different tools and things that are out there right now, be it launch monitors, other metrics, other things that we look at from physical assessments and so forth. But overall, I mean, that's the thing. Set your baseline, and especially if you're looking to improve. If you're not looking to improve, you're just looking to kind of enjoy yourself. This is irrelevant as far as that conversation. We'll get to that as far as the rise of indoor golf and so forth. But I would say the biggest thing, just like any other sport or activity, is start with an assessment. If you're looking to improve over in the wintertime, that way you can actually, you can set some objectives, you can set some goals, you can measure your progress, and you can see if you actually make progress or you regress by the springtime.
Yeah.
But if you don't have, and that's the thing, people, if they don't know where they're at, like, you ask them all the time and say, hey, how are you playing? Oh, I'm hitting my irons. Okay. Well, what's that mean?
It's pretty vague.
It is really vague, and it's very difficult to hold yourself accountable. And that's the one thing that people will get away with sometimes. And, you see it again, you're involved with training with hockey, for an example. You just see people, being very vague because they're not accountable. They can get away with it. Right. But if I say I want to sit there and go to work on something, and maybe I want to work on my club head speed this winter. Okay, what's my baseline for my club head speed right now? Where am I at? Am I at 105? Okay, if I'm at 105, I know where to go from there. But if I just say, I'm vaguely fast, and and then you kind of work away in the wintertime, and you're like, yeah, I think I got faster. Well, that doesn't really hold you accountable to anything, and allows you to sort of get away with a lot of stuff. So, and the accountability is to yourself. It's not to the coach. I can tell you as a coach and working with an athlete, I want to see them get better. But in the end, it's them that has to live with it. It's not me that has to live with it. It's my job to train them and get them better, but they have to hold themselves accountable, which, is hard to do for some people. Sometimes they just don't want to do that. So yeah, that would be the biggest thing I'd say, just to start from a training standpoint before you get to do anything. And that those assessments can be done outdoors before the season, kind of finishes, or they can be done indoors, and that can involve short game, that can involve assessing your physical ability, that can that could be certain baselines for certain other elements within your golf swing. You really have to work with the coach to customize that, because again, there's just no cookie cutter assessment. There are assessment tools that are universal, but they don't always necessarily apply to what you're trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Because every person is going to be is unique when it comes to, as unique as a golf swing is, how you go about improving or developing your skill set is going to be unique to you as well. So that's a very good, and like I said, it's not, that part of off-season golf is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to want to be working on their game throughout the season. Some people are just interested in, by hitting golf balls and playing on simulators, they feel that is, essentially keeping their game sharp.
Right, sharp. For sure. And I would warn people too. One of the big things is that, a lot of people go into an off season and they somehow think of it as being like, 10 years long or something. It's not. So you don't have a lot of time. So really focus on, well, I'll call it the big rocks. Lift your big rocks first, and then you can fill in the rest of it. But that's why the assessment is really important, in working with a coach and determining what are your big things that, could help you gain the most in your golf game. And it might surprise you what they are, but a proper assessment can sort of expose that, and that'll allow you to focus on the things that you can gain the most in a short period of time, because you're not going to tackle everything. It's just not going to happen. So someone saying, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do an all-around program, and we're going to do it in 10 weeks, and we're going to tackle this and this, you're probably not going to see much progress out of that. I'd rather see an athlete kind of jump on one particular thing. And we've got the tools to kind of look at that now, and we'll get to that in a little bit as far as some different things. But it can be something as simple as a single flaw within your golf swing with flexion and extension in your wrists that creates an improper face angle. It can take a long time to work on that. But, we have tools where we could measure that in 3D, and a player could work on that. And that could be a big thing that they could work on over and over and over, and develop those pieces over the wintertime. So I would say, first advice to people, don't try to tackle too much. Tackle the big things, identify the big things.
Yes, identify it first.
And focus on that. And that'll actually make you less frustrated, because I think people get frustrated because they try to tackle too much and they don't achieve anything. So if you can't get to reach any of your objectives to get to your goals, by the time you get done at the end of the year, or end of the off season, you don't feel you've done anything.
So Scott, then what are some of the things that an individual, you as a PGA of Canada professional and as a teacher, I know what I look at. Obviously, yes, this is a golf show. I'm a golf guy. That's the thing. But it's no surprise that I'm also pretty heavily involved in hockey as well, and hockey training and development. So from a golf perspective, what are some of the things that people can focus on, some ideas to help them get better over the off season? Aside from the more elite players, or the ones that are looking to really, really improve with assessments and coaching and stuff like that. What about the ones that don't have coaching?
The ones that don't have coaching can work on, certain particular skills that I would think are the most important things. Unfortunately, a lot of people will look at things like, grip, alignment, posture, ball position. Those are preferences. They're not mandatory things that you have to have a certain. We can do a lot of things to work around that, but things like the ability to strike the golf ball in the center of the club face, That's a skill that anybody can work on. I mean, you can work on that inside in your gym. You can in your gym. You can work on that in your garage. You could work on if you've got a place to hit at home. You could do it with a softball. You don't necessarily need a hard golf ball to be able to do that. You could work on it with something as simple as foot spray. You know, a $7 can of foot spray, spraying it on the club face and working on your skill and your ability. Now, granted, it's helpful if a coach works with you to show you how you can probably achieve that better, but intuitively we're really good at self-organizing. So if you work and find a way to get the ball off the center of the club face where you're going to get maximum club speed, the club face is not going to twist as much. That's a basic skill that any player can work on, and it's valuable no matter if you're a 30 handicap or you're a +7 handicap. So that's a basic skill that they could work on that would help improve their golf game a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Fitness obviously is a big part of should be a big part of everybody's life. But in particularly if you're trying to increase your club head speed or improve your ability to get out of the rough, hit your wedges higher, hit the ball higher. A lot of that does come from club head speed, comes from ball striking, comes from strength. If you can improve your strength, then you can essentially improve your club head speed at the same time, even though it's full body, that creates club head speed, not just hands and arms. Strength comes not just from your upper body, it comes from your lower body. So stronger lower body, stronger base, stronger core can help you increase club head speed as well. So fitness plays a big part, not just in your health and well-being, but it also can play a big part in your golf swing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people need to look at fitness as the ability for their body to function. It's about functionality. So speed will be a portion of that. Obviously, the more speed that we have, the better that we can make use of that, especially to get out of things like rough and so forth. But when people look at golf fitness or look at training their body in the off season, they shouldn't always look at it going, hey, I have to get super, super strong or super, super fast. It can be about functionality as well. And there's some great screens that are out there, and I'll explain that in a second. If you work with the right professionals, what they're going to do is they're going to take you through a series of tests to see how your body moves. There's ones obviously through the Titleist Performance Institute, TPI. There's other various screens that are available as well. It's about finding out how you function and how you can create better movement patterns and also work your golf swing within those movement patterns. There's a lot of people sometimes if they go and they grab something online, they'll go, oh, I'm going to do this. Well, maybe your body can't do that, and it's not just something from an age standpoint. It can be just from you're physically restricted from a certain movement and a certain movement pattern. But again, identifying it is super, super important. Then you can actually be focused on what you have to do, especially within your fitness to, create the mobility or create the strength around maybe your weaknesses, anything that you can to enhance your body. And that, again, becomes a big piece that is good to work in the off season because, we don't want to be sitting there doing, very heavy fitness routines and all of a sudden jumping out to the golf course where you need a lot of fine touch and doing different things and you can't feel your arms. You know what I mean? It doesn't work quite well. So again, we'll go right back to that assessment aspect of it. Super, super important to go through some sort of assessment. And, a lot of the golf pros now will work, if they don't do things like TPI screenings themselves, they'll have other people that are affiliated with them that will provide those screenings, other medical professionals or physical fitness, professionals that can do those screening for them. And that knowledge is super, super important to, again, to be focused on the right stuff that you need to work on. And as you mentioned, speed will be a big thing for a lot of people. That is something a lot of people want to work on in wintertime. Lots of tools, lots of ways to address that. But again, where are you at now? Am I semi fast? We go right back to that. You got to set that baseline, determine where you're at, and be able to build. I mean, I work with one person who's a long driver. Well, she's always looking at where she's at, and it's the next goal and the next goal and the next goal. And that's how you get better. You don't get there by going, I think I'm faster, I think I'm better. Okay,
Yeah.
well, where are you at? And
Yeah.
where's your next goal?
Gotcha. Now we're just to let people know, we have Evan Bett, who is a PGA of Canada professional as well.
Yep.
Runs the Swing Fit Golf Academy. Evan is one of our contributors to flagstick.com, has been from a golf fitness perspective and golf instruction. We're going to have Evan on here a little bit throughout the off season.
Yeah.
Sharing some of those golf fitness, tidbits and so on with us, some video and whatnot. If you happen to be watching it on YouTube, there'll be some videos, instruction on fitness. So we're gonna give you that aspect of it in conjunction with some stuff with the lesson tee as well, just to help you out with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
off-season.
that. I mean, that long driver that I mentioned, actually, that's a cooperative student with Evan. So Evan handles the fitness side of it. She lives in Ottawa. He takes care of that. I take care of the technical aspect of the golf swing side of it or whatever. And it's a good marriage. She knows where she's at physically. I can take care of some other technical aspects, and it works quite well. So I look forward to getting that insight from Evan. We're always learning from that aspect of it.
No question.
But yeah, certainly when you're looking at your programs, if you're looking at doing things in the wintertime, however you go about doing that, blending in the fitness and your body is the biggest tool to move the golf club. So you definitely have to look at that as opposed to just technique of the club. You have to, provide an engine with how your body moves. So you've got to be able to work on that as well.
All right. So we've talked about coaching.
Mhm.
We've talked about, fitness and how we can improve. Let's talk about the facilities that we use to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because how much this has changed over the years is it's astronomical.
Yeah.
The changes, the differences to the golf facilities that are available at people's disposable. This isn't anyway. They aren't diapers. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
At people's disposal throughout these winter months, colder months that we're going to be entering soon. But just how much of these facilities changed? I mean, I know myself, going back to those old days of where it was a hitting net.
Yeah,
that's what you had. There was a net.
That was a standard.
Mat,
that was a standard for decades, right? I mean,
and then we had multiple hitting nets or large hitting cage areas with multiple
and
tee
that
decks.
still exists.
Well, exactly. That's my point, is that those kinds of indoor facilities still exist, but they have so much more. There's indoor bunkers. They actually, instead of just a plywood putting green with some holes in it, now you've actually got companies that install these artificial surfaces for hitting. They install them indoors, obviously, for people for golf schools that are permanent golf academies, chipping areas. Like this is like a huge deal now.
Yeah. Well, it's all about feedback. And I guess the biggest thing that was missing when people used to hit golf balls in the nets was, all is where the golf ball is hitting in the cage and how it felt. From there, we saw the evolution of, obviously, people would take pictures, they would take video of your golf swing, but people wanted better experiences. Now, the only issue that came with adding things that from a feedback standpoint was cost. And it was super expensive. Or the very first golf simulators and things that came out in the kind of the 1970s, which were fairly archaic. They were more rotating pitchers. They gave you some sort of feedback and some sort of sense that you were playing golf in the wintertime, but again, it was expensive. They weren't located in a lot of places, so they weren't easy to get to. And when I say expensive, I mean not just for the consumer, but for the operator as well. So the biggest thing that's happened over the years is the rise in technology. It's just like computers. Obviously, it gets cheaper and cheaper to get stronger and stronger technology. But the rise in launch monitors and simulator systems and other tools that we can make use of. I mean, we look at something like our golf tip today and talking about pressure movement in the feet. I can remember working on a pressure plate at York University in the late 1980s, It was built into the ground. This is for volleyball, for jumping. It cost $45,000. The type of information that you got from it is exactly the same information that now you can get out of a $2,000 portable mat that you can find readily all over the place. So the technology has gotten better, the research has gotten better. So we've seen the proliferation now, especially when we had those couple years where a lot of lockdowns were happening. A lot of people weren't going to open golf centers, but a lot of people were at home. Right. So you couldn't buy a net. Good luck trying to buy one online. It was really hard to. But the people that did, we saw a lot of people going, man, you know what? I'm going to build a house, or I'm going to adapt something in my house, and I'm going to hit golf balls, or I'm going to play. I mean, you can buy like a Flightscope Mevo Plus for, $3,000 that has some simulator capacity to it. You can, use other things just like a PRGR kind of speed monitor for a few $100s just to check your club head speed. Anything that provides feedback is what people are looking for, and that helps them train because it gives them those benchmarks that they can go back to and identify the progress. Now, the point has come now that even from a 3D technology, obviously there's great systems like Gears that Kevin has for an example, but there are other systems now. We're even seeing apps, markerless 3D stuff from like Sportbox AI that basically from video it can create 3D and measure motion of your body. So the technology is getting cheaper and cheaper and getting more accessible. Now, a lot of this will only be, obviously used right now by coaches more than general consumers, but it's, these are the things you start to find when you go to these facilities. So now in Ottawa, for an example, we have many more indoor simulator places that are starting to open up. Many more golf courses are realizing that that's a viable way to enhance their business, to be able to keep staff there in the wintertime, to retain, food and beverage staff, to provide another service to the members. So, if you look at Ottawa Hunt and Carlton and Camelot and Royal Ottawa, all these places all have indoor simulators now.
Renfrew, I noticed just they put one in. I think they're putting another one in, but they've got one up and running now.
So you're going to see probably that become a more common experience, to the point of, I think I've mentioned to a few people, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but there's facilities in some cold weather places now that are working their way towards having, I know one in Iceland's got 16 TrackMans right now. 16. So, crazy. I mean, for their members, they have an all year round experience. And for some people, especially if you go to like countries like Korea, screen golf is what they call it there. It's more common and more accessible than actual golf courses themselves.
Well, big time there, because
right?
It's, I mean, even driving ranges in
and
Korea
just parts of Asia are hard to get to. Yeah. Right. So the thing is that the technology is getting better. So the simulations are better. The courses look better. I mean, I can walk into my garage now and go play Royal Ottawa. Or Royal Ottawa is done. No, but that's just a prime example. If the Royal Ottawa members want to play their golf course, it's been mapped and done with LiDAR, and they have the whole virtual golf of that golf course, and they can play it, which is amazing. So a lot more access, and we'll see more of them. Canadian, Stonebridge, we'll see more and more public facilities that'll be starting to add these types of facilities, let alone standalone ones like our buddy Andy and his Celtic Golf down in Kempville, the Bunker in Ottawa, Mulligan's. There's a whole bunch of them that are kind of coming along. Will they all survive? From a business model standpoint, that's hard to say. That has to do with a lot of other factors besides just that. But overall, the facilities are getting better, the technology is getting better, and there's a demand. People are realizing, hey, I want to keep golf in my life in the off season, be it casual play, league play, working with a coach, supervised practice on their own. And as a result of it, it's a whole new world compared to the 1990s when we're talking about, having 10 nets and a putting green, and that was the extent of the experience.
Exactly. Okay, well, on that note, let's just want to mention we're going to try to have Andy McWilliams on from Golf Sim Gurus, sponsor of this segment, but also is opening a facility in Kempville called Celtic Golf Center. Website launched this week, soft launched the website, CelticGolfCenter.com. Yours truly built said site, or is in the process of building the entire site right now. There's a small version of it up there, but they're getting set to open that at the end of this month. And we'd love to have Andy come on, because I think that when it comes to simulators, he's probably the perfect person to talk not only about his own, but about a lot of the stuff that he has done and can do for businesses and individuals in their own homes, to have them have a setup. Whether it's this winter, or at this point, you're probably not going to get one this winter, but who knows? You never know. Maybe you will. But we got to take a break again. It's a deep show this week. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we want to talk product watch. We're going to talk about shoes specifically, and then we're going to shut this baby down for another week. So stay with us. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results, your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
And back again we are on the Flagstick podcast, and we're going to jump right into our final segment of this episode, Product Watch, which is brought to you, as it is every week, by Greensmere Golf and Country Club. Elevate your game at Greensmere. Choose between two great golf courses, two 18-hole championship golf courses, distinctively different, definitely challenging. Visit greensmere.com for more information or to book a tee time. All right, Scott, Product Watch. Now, we promised that this Product Watch, which was about shoes, tied in well with the whole off-season, late-season sort of discussion. So explain why these shoes do tie in. I know why, but explain to our viewers, our listeners, our audience, why these shoes are so specific to this time of year.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions all the time from people that are looking for golf shoes that are maybe not for play during the midsummer, not when those hot sunny days, dry days. They're looking for something they can wear in the spring and for the fall that's going to keep them warm, waterproof. What's the deal? What shoes can I wear? Well, the only problem is if you deal with a standard type golf shoe, it only comes up to your ankle, right? So it doesn't matter what you do.
You're getting wet.
You're going to get wet. The shoe can be totally waterproof, but if water is coming in around your ankles, it's pretty hard to prevent that.
Yeah, and aside from drilling holes in the bottom of a rubber boot.
Right, exactly, which has been done before, and people have tried that. But you know what? There's been an evolution in the last bunch of years that, of more mid-boot or high-top golf shoes that are designed purposely for kind of that spring, fall, cooler temperature weather. Some of the first ones were clunky, like they were not great. So like they literally, like you said, they were pretty much like rubber boots with spikes on them. Really good for crappy weather, but not very comfortable, not very practical, not very fashionable. Now, that's changed. And one of the models that I was doing some testing with recently was the Adidas Golf S2G mid boot, which is basically a kind of a mid-high ankle golf shoe that has all the characteristics of some of the products. They're Code Chaos products from Adidas as far as from a comfort level, still look stylish, but are super warm, definitely waterproof, and definitely don't have that issue as far as water getting kind of around your ankles, because in general, because of the height of these boots, they're underneath your pants, so your pants help protect them. There is some separation and things there, but this is part of the Rain Ready product line for Adidas. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them much or anything, but again, super stylish. Cool aspects of them. There's some good traction on the sole, 4 spikes on the sole, but they also have Bounce material, which is an Adidas material, which helps out from a comfort level. That's basically in the midsole, and it provides energy back to your foot. So in walking, these are super comfy right out of the box, which is not always the case for a lot of shoes these days. They're probably a little bit better than their previous Climate Chill product. And I said this to a couple of their team from Adidas. Their Climate Chill product that they had before was really good, but they seemed to be very tight and they didn't have a lot of room. These are a little bit wider in the forefoot. If you have a thicker sock on, they're probably a little bit better that way. The other cool features are part of the boot is made out of recycled material as well, which is part of Adidas's big initiative as far as the environment. So these mid-cut golf shoes kind of help out with that. So, kind of a neat shoe if someone's looking at it. Pricing wise, they're still reasonable. So it's not like you're going to say, oh, well, I'm only going to use the shoe, maybe for 3 weeks in the spring and a few weeks in the fall. But there's something that maybe you invest in and that you have it for these times of years, and that you can wear it and you can have it over a number of years. They're backed by a waterproof warranty. But again, they look fairly stylish. Dark colors, obviously. You're not going to make this thing in white for sure.
No, that wouldn't be very good.
But yeah, a really cool shoe. Again, I've tested it out in downpours, muddy conditions, fake rain. Tested out in fake rain. How's that?
What to do when you don't get rain and you're at a product release and they're trying to show wet weather?
Yeah, exactly.
You create the wet weather.
Yeah. So stamp of approval for these ones, the S2G mid boot from Adidas Golf, and something to have a look at there. Again, there's other products out there as well from other companies, but this is just a particular one, just done some recent testing on, and certainly can say they're worthwhile for our product watch.
Well done, Adidas. Well done, Adidas. I'm sure it's up on, it will be, if not already, up on flagstick.com. And
soon.
You can soon. Can't get everything up right away. I mean,
we try.
There's only so much you can do. Well, Scotty Mac, that does bring us to the end of yet another outstanding podcast. Lots of good discussion this week on this episode about off-season golf in particular.
Yeah, more to come on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be kind of the an ongoing subject for the majority of the off season, because there's lots of different ways that we can tackle this topic, and there'll be some other things that'll come up over the course of the off season as well. Rest assured, there will be no shortage of content on this podcast
100%
this winter. I guarantee it. But with that, we're going to shut it down for another week. And just before we do, make sure that with all this great content that we're putting out there on a regular basis, if you want to know when new stuff is, like the latest stuff is posted, go over to flagstick.com, sign up for for Flagstick Digest. Flagstick Digest comes out 3 times a week. And in each issue of Flagstick Digest, it's very simple, 3 little stories, 3 little excerpts of current topics that happen to be on flagstick.com, because it's generated by the most recent things that we post. So whatever the 3 most recent things that we post, that's what you're going to get in that edition, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays throughout the off season. Great content, and you'll get it sent right to your inbox, and you just click on it, go read the whole story at flagstick.com. You don't want to, just go to flagstick.com, but we do encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. Want to thank all of our sponsors once again: Metcalf Golf Club, Golf Sim Gurus, Greensmere Golf and Country Club, Kevin Haime Golf School. Our presenting sponsor once again this week, Ping Golf Canada. If you're looking to improve your game, then you need to check out the entire family of G425 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and irons at ca.ping.com. Keep watching, keep listening to the podcast. Be sure to follow us across all the social media channels: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We encourage that. We want you to do that. Lots of stuff is going to be posted there over the off season that is not going to be on this podcast. So you might want to make sure you subscribe, like us, click the notification bell to make sure you're aware of when a new episode is released or anything new is released. And get over to flagstick.com. As always, check out more amazing golf content that we post there and delivered every single day. As always, we appreciate you tuning into this podcast. I am Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.